So there's this guy named Tyree Moorhead who's known in Baltimore for advocating for no gun zones, and he gets gunned down by the police. And when that happened, you had people saying, oh, it's unfair, it's unjustified, ID the police, lock them up, this is another form of police brutality, where's the body cam footage? And that part in particular is the thing that always drives my points home. You have to wait for more information before you want to spout anything into the ether, because there's the potential that you could be wrong about the situation once that body cam footage comes out. Which is why I've been advocating and will always preach for body cam footage to be released, because when you have it available for people to see and you're just waiting for it to be reviewed and released to the public, you would want that information known so that people could come to a rational conclusion about what took place in a certain situation. And in this one, where you had a few people saying, oh, he complied, he did everything right, he did everything he was supposed to do, he followed the officer's orders, and they still shot him like he was nothing but an animal. You literally see him in the body cam footage, which I can't show because YouTube is not fair to me. You see him in the video with a knife in his hand, charging towards a woman or walking towards a woman. And then once they tell him get down, he gets on top of the woman with the knife. And in that officer's mind, he has to think quick. He has to protect this woman who is being pinned down by a guy who's on top of her with a weapon in his hand. This is not something where you could say, oh my God, put that down and beg and plead. This is not something where you could sit there and do some Beckham Jokic stretch and tackle him and get him away from the woman. This officer has to think quickly, and in that moment, he shot him.
Police shooting left a man dead in Northwest Baltimore. Now that man's father and those who knew him are talking about the life he lived and the shooting that ended it. WMER 2 News' Brittany Verner went back to the scene today and learned some new details about what led up to the gunfire.
On this wall, it reads "No Shoot Zone," and there are more than 200 other spots throughout the city with this same message. The man who started this trend lost his life to gun violence on this very corner after he was shot down by police.
And I think it was overkill, and it shouldn't have went that far.
This is words from the father of Tyree Moorhead, who was killed by police after being shot more than a dozen times. This comes after he was seen attacking a woman near the corner of West Lafayette and North Fulton Avenue in West Baltimore. This video shows a portion of that attack from a bystander. Police say it happened on Sunday afternoon around 3. Moorhead's father says it was a result of him suffering from a mental health crisis.
If they carry, all situations like that with people with mental problems, we got too many people in this city with mental problems. You gonna kill all of them?
Just like we had drug-free zones growing up, it needs to be no shoot zones.
This is previous video of Tyree Moorhead, who was known for his message against gun violence.
Well, he's been through his struggles as an activist in this city, trying to get the message across to stop the shooting.
However, on Sunday, many people in the neighborhood say they saw Tyree walking around with knives trying to attack people. When he saw a woman walking down the street, he immediately ran after her and started attacking her before police responded and shot him to death.
Was mental health involved? Was behavioral health involved? Yes, it's a lot of questions. It's very sad. It's heartbreaking to a community. It's heartbreaking to his friends and people that know him.
Tyree died on that corner after being shot by police. Many people say even though the situation ended terribly, they still want to promote his message of no shooting throughout the city. This is still an open and active investigation, and although police are still investigating, people who know and love Tyree said they believe he didn't deserve to die this way.
The way I see it is how I saw the Ma'Khia Bryant situation. It's somebody doing something with a weapon, and a cop sees that, and they have to think and act quickly, because if they don't, there's the potential that somebody who's just a casual bystander or a potential victim will be put at harm because the cop stood there and didn't think quickly enough. You can talk about how there's mental issues with Tyree.
And I hadn't seen him no more until I seen the footage, and that just drove me crazy. I couldn't stand to see it. I'm highly upset. I'm hurt. I'm really hurt.
Carline McCaskill says his cousin Moorhead suffered from mental illness, and the last time he saw him, he wasn't himself.
He had a belt wrapped around him, and he had that same butcher knife on the side. Like, he had his belt wrapped around his body, not in the loops of his belt or nothing. And he had the knife in the side.
He says Moorhead had become paranoid and believed police were out to get him.
I guess by them harassing him and stuff like that, you know what I mean, it just triggered something. and he stopped taking his medication because he was going through something with that.
He says more needs to be done to address mental health, access to care, and the stigma behind getting help.
And we all go through things. We all suffer. That's why we all here on the world to help each one help one. And it just seemed like it's not enough being done. Everybody talk about it, but it ain't. You go to get help from there, you get turned away. And I feel like this to the point now. This right here is too. It just was too late. You know, it was too late.
Hoping no one else suffers the same fate as his cousin, one where his legacy of helping is overshadowed by a violent end.
I want his legacy to be that, Tyree Morham tried to help Baltimore City, try to do something positive for Baltimore City. Though the same city that in our younger days we helped destroy, he tried to help build and put back.
McCaskill says more training is needed for officers encountering mental health emergencies, and he believes the officers' actions were excessive. Both officers remain on administrative leave while the shooting is being investigated.
You can make any of the excuses you want to try to justify why he should be alive, but in this situation, this dude had a weapon in his hand, and the cop had to act quickly, because if he didn't, there was going to be a victim, and a lot of people who are standing preaching for one side wouldn't really be advocating for the other. Talk about his mental health all you want. Somebody should have been there checking up on him while he's being this good activist, while he's trying to make his community better. Somebody should have been there to check him, because if there was somebody there to do that and making sure that he was straight, nobody would have called the cops on him to begin with, because that's how this whole thing transpired. Somebody saw this happening, saw this dude with a knife, saw him targeting a woman, and decided to call the cops. Are you going to get mad at the person calling the cops? No, because they're seeing something take place and they're thinking they can't do it. They can't save the day. Nobody else is doing anything to save the day. Let me call the cops and hope that they get here in time so that a potential victim doesn't become an actual victim. You can spin this any way you want. I'm going to look at this and call it justified. Subscribe to the channel. I'd love to hear your opinions on it in the comment section. I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.